Hello everybody and welcome to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Superman 21 by Joshua Williamson, Dan Mora and Alejandro Sanchez. Superwoman's adventure continues as Lois teams with Supergirl to battle some monsters in Metropolis, hoping that she will cover for her and Clark once they leave on their so-called secret mission. It only being a secret because even Lois doesn't know what Clark has in store for them. After a little joking around about having Batman's number, Kara agrees to cover for them as Lois heads into space to meet with Clark, who reveals that they are going to have a bit of a date night. This is a very fun premise for the issue, especially after the big action spectacle and ominous nature of issues 19 and 20. We've got something a little bit lighter which will tie into the main plot a little later on in the issue as well. Now Lois thinks that their time on the moon is going to be spent doing something a bit more physical with each other. But Clark has other plans, wanting to challenge his wife to darts, seeing that she used to hustle guys in college while playing darts. Of course their dartboard is carved into the side of a moon rock face and their darts are boulders, but Lois is up for the challenge. Across the issue and intercut with Clark and Lois's date adventure are one-page interludes which kind of catch us up on what's been happening with some of the other characters in the story. The first one being about Jimmy and Siobhan, who are busy having their own little date night at home, watching movies. And if Jimmy's face is anything to go by, it's a scary movie, something that Siobhan clearly likes. Lois and Clark meanwhile take in a magic show with Zatanna, meet with a friendly dinosaur pack, and even play with Crypto, and all the while Clark's mind is elsewhere thinking of Doomsday and Time Trapper. And he reveals to Lois that this is why he wanted to do this date night, as a way to kind of get away from that. On top of that, thanks to the red kryptonite in his system from Graft and Farm's attack recently, he's being made to regulate his stress a little bit more by Mercy to ensure he doesn't go quote-unquote red again. Obviously there was going to be a reason behind this interlude from the Doomsday arc, and I really like that Williamson worked everything that has happened over the last year into Superman's reasoning for this short break from the story. It's also not like we aren't getting plot progression in the Doomsday story either, as Lois and Clark both have a great moment where they talk about Doomsday's re-emergence and how Lois is haunted by the day both Superman and Doomsday met for the first time. She hopes that while she has learned to live with the life they are given, has Clark. Clark decides to answer her question by revealing what Time Trapper told him about the horrors coming their way. Specifically, the villain wants him to end his life so he can evolve to become the god of all space and time. And if Superman does not kill him, everyone he knows and loves will die horribly. I really like that Williamson is broaching the subject of Superman's immortality in this story as well, with Clark questioning whether he'll actually be alone forever, since while he doesn't actually know for sure, he might be immortal, and it's the not knowing that is what scares him. It's a thoroughly interesting idea on Superman's immortality and if he is or isn't immortal, and it's not exploring what we've seen before with him being kind of this enduring beacon of hope across the years, and he's this legend or something which we've seen in stuff like All-Star Superman or stuff like Superman 1 Million, where it's technically the same Superman, he's immortal, but this time around we're seeing how that affects the man in Superman and how it scares him. The couple's introspection is interrupted though by Amethyst, who comes to the couple with need for aid as the House of Onyx has gone insane and is attacking Gemworld from the Shadowlands. Superman and Superwoman spring into action with their friend, and we get another interlude checking in on what Doomsday is up to, as Supercorp keep him contained with the Black Mercy venom. The Supercorp scientists wonder what a creature like him dreams of, and we get to see that. And that is just wanton destruction and violence and death, specifically of Superman, as we see him killing Superman over and over again in his dreams. Superman and Superwoman meanwhile get involved in the battle with Amethyst, and this is probably the weakest part of the book for me, as heroes begin fighting, Superman tells them to stop fighting, then Amethyst and Onyx end their fight, with it alluded to that Lois made them hash it out with words rather than violence off panel. This felt quite lazy, like why even set all of this up if you're gonna resolve it off panel and then show us the end result? It felt like a strange segue to get away from the talk of Time Trapper and Doomsday, but then it ends in 2 pages and we are back to talking about Time Trapper and Doomsday. So what was really the point? It was just such a weird choice. After the battle is over, Lois tells Clark that maybe they should end their days since something feels like it's missing, but Clark has an idea on how to remedy that, and the next interlude we see is centered on Lex and Mercy. Mercy is busy trying to find a way to contain Doomsday for good, scouring Lex's old files for a solution when Lex himself pops by, having bought Mercy an iced espresso, remembering how that was one of her favorite drinks. Mercy is a little surprised that Lex actually remembered something like that, and I really like that Williamson seems to be positioning them both for a possible romance. This is also just real good new Lex build-up, and I know it's all great stuff is being done, so when his turn comes, the old Lex makes a comeback and he becomes a villain again. This is going to be some true damage done to a lot of these characters, like his daughter Lena, and of course here Mercy, who have seen this new Lex and have experienced it, and maybe in this case fallen in love with this new Lex, so when he goes away it's going to be quite tragic. Lois and Clark meanwhile head to a snow-covered Smallville, catching one of the town's world-famous breakfast burritos. Clark tells Lois that he's trying to prove that he could have spent an entire night without thinking about Doomsday or Time Trapper or being immortal, and that didn't really go as planned. Lois though figures out what was missing from their date that she couldn't put her finger on, and that is Lois and Clark, since while she loves being Superwoman and Clark loves being Superman, they haven't been Lois and Clark for a long while, and those people don't have to worry about forever, just they're there and now. Their date is interrupted again by Supergirl, who calls in the heroes as something has happened. Arriving at Kara's location, the couple find that snow is falling on location. However, Kara knows it's not snow, it's ash from the arriving fleet of ships from Calaton. The aliens announce their arrival to Earth, revealing that they are the leftovers from the worlds Doomsday has destroyed, and they call themselves the Aftermath. We learn that the race dresses themselves up like Doomsday as it's their funeral garb, since Doomsday has turned them into the living death, and Earth has 1 hour to turn over the monster, or they will kill everyone on Earth. This new thread has me really interested, and I like the idea of a bunch of survivors of Doomsday getting together and after staring death in the face, decide that nope, nothing can stop this and everything just must die. Them also dressing like Doomsday in his containment suit is great too, and it kind of recontextualizes that costume a little bit, being that it was funeral garb and kind of like mummy wrappings, and they wrapped him in this stuff before shooting him into space because it was like a death sort of ritual. I wonder if this is Williamson trying to tie the themes he's exploring with Superman's immortality in with Doomsday's immortality, and it's been all about death and life and Superman being the one who survives it all, and as Doomsday put it in issue 19, how Superman represents the life and he represents the death. So I like that he's continuing to play with those sorts of themes through these two characters. It's also really cool to see him kind of recontextualize a lot of stuff we saw in Hunter Prey and kind of make it a little bit better, and using the Calaton people as well as the people of all the different worlds that Doomsday has destroyed as a new villain for this new story. That's quite interesting, to take what were once victims of Doomsday and turn them into evil villains. I can't wait to see what else he does with Doomsday, since so far he's done quite a bit to give the character some much needed development and something different than what we usually get with Doomsday. Superman issue 21 cooled things down after the bombastic action-packed issues 19 and 20, but still didn't fully remove us from the Time Trapper Doomsday storyline, slowly building up little bits of the plot for the story while also giving our heroes a chance to step back from it all and be together with one another. There was some stumbling though, like the bit on Gemworld with Amethyst and the House of Onyx that didn't really make much sense for me and why that was in that story at that point. And it really felt like it was cut to shit, and with how it was presented, how there wasn't really anything there. It was just like a beginning and an end. There was no middle or meat to it. But everything else on either side of that part of the story was firing on all cylinders. I can't wait to see more of the aftermath and what the Time Trapper has in store for Superman and his family. I'm going to give this issue an 8.5 out of 10.